Xdefiant is here, guys. We are locked in for May 21st. The game's probably releasing when you're watching this. And I have to say, I'm very excited. I got some really key information that's going to hopefully excite you. If you're into shooters like I have been for 20 plus years, I'm telling you, this is going to be the game changer. We're going to talk about skill based matchmaking, community feedback, the data, the transparency, everything from X Defiant directly from the top dog of their company. And it's going to be a good one. First and foremost, thank you so much for locking in, subscribing, and commenting. It's always a blessing. We're going to be talking about the executive producer Mark Rubin. He has been very vocal on social media, but he did a video and we're going to showcase some of it, let you guys listen in to his words. But before we do, I just want to talk about skill based matchmaking. First and foremost, a lot of people don't really know what they're talking about. Even you listening to this, all right? You can click away if you feel that way, that I'm wrong. Most people don't know about skill based matchmaking. They don't understand the systems, they don't understand any of it. They're just guessing. And they'll get into arguments about who's right or wrong about skill-based matchmaking and how should it work. There is something that is true about what you're saying. If you feel the system isn't good, then the system isn't good. It doesn't matter what it is. So the reason I say this first, and I put this as a hard-nosed statement, is soon we will see a no skill-based matchmaking game. And it's been a while that I really felt like a popular shooter will have that. A first person shooter will have it the way this game is having it. And it's very interesting because now we're going to see what the community feels about it. And I'm honestly going to give it a month and see where everybody stands. But I do believe that this is going to be a pivotal move for all shooters because it's a big deal. And I want you guys to listen to Mark himself as he explains about the skill based matchmaking. Check it out.
Who might not be familiar, what exactly is skill-based matchmaking, and why did you decide that it wasn't right for Xdefiant?
Okay, so skill-based matchmaking, also known as oftenly as SBMM, basically where the game decides that you have a certain skill level after it kind of watches you play for a few matches, and then matches you up with people who are equivalent on your skill level. Now, in the olden days, it was pretty light and didn't really intrude too much into the game. It has become something that is more what they call actually engagement-based matchmaking now, where it sort of is like an AI that's monitoring your behavior and going, okay, this person's getting beaten too many times and we think they might quit, so we're going to make the game easier for them, and then you'll get a game where you win, and then it'll bring you back to the playing against the same.
Yeah, so what he just explained was the engagement. Now, this is a big one that you got to try to pay attention to. Engagement based matchmaking is something newer and it's basically not cool, in my opinion. And it is very stale and it's predictable. And you see it a lot in like battle royale games where you'll lose a bunch of games. All of a sudden, you'll slaughter the lobby and you're like, wow, I'm really good. And it's actually they're putting you up against specific kind of players. So it's very predictable to a certain extent. And that's what Mark is explaining. We're going to keep on listening in and going down
People
the
you were
rabbit
playing
hole.
for. And the thing with all that, besides the whole sort of morality of it, is that I think it creates a stale experience, right? Like you keep playing against the same exact people, not the same exact people specifically, but the same exact type of player. You lose out on all the fun variety that I think a lot of the old school shooters had. Like you jump into a match and you can see a guy in there who's just wrecking, right? And he is just absolutely destroying, and you're kind of having fun with it because he's just so good, or she. And then you get into another game where you're the person who's wrecking, right? Like, in that experience, that variety is really what I think is missing in a lot of some of the modern arcade shooters, and I think it's something that we really feel is important to bring back to first-person shooters.
Your philosophy with
Yeah, so as you see, he's explaining that he wants it to be more sporadic, meaning it's just going to be random. You might jump in with a pro player, you might jump in with a rookie. You might have the greatest game of your life back to back. You might not. But he would prefer that than to try to manipulate with the engagement based matchmaking and also the skill based matchmaking. And I think that a bad rap gets put into skill based matchmaking. I'm going to be honest. Skill based matchmaking is a good thing because you want to face top players if you're a top player. If you're the pro player playing 12 hours a day and you end up in lobbies with a bunch of kids, it's gonna get annoying after a while. And I'm not a pro player in any means, but I have been good enough to be in lobbies where I slaughter people the whole time. And it's like I'm not even playing the video game because it's just too easy. So there's a difference between engagement matchmaking, which I say isn't good, and skill based. But what's cool is this game is not going to have any of that. They're going to allow the public lobbies to just be whatever it's going to be. And so that is a very cool, in my opinion. I mean, we can agree to disagree. I'm not sure what everybody in the community feels. You can leave it in the comments if you want more skill based matchmaking, if you don't want it. Either way, it's perfectly fine. That's your opinion. Personally, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to hear what comes from it. Speaking of that, I'm gonna go ahead and
The
put in
vocal
some
folks out
more.
there who are
Mark,
gonna let their opinions be known, but you're also
he's gonna talk about the communication, and before we get started with that, what I can say is that communication is kind of weird in the gaming world. Developers will hype up a game, right? And they're more like promoters. Before the game releases, they're talking with everybody, they're replying to tweets, they're posting on Discord, replying on Discord. They're pretty heavily duty all over the place. And then once the game releases, if it's doing bad and things are not going well, they get very silent. And this is a choice by the PR team. And I don't think it's okay, but it does happen. And the reason why we should think about this and talk about it is that the community deserves transparency. And it feels like Mark Rubin is explaining that that's what he wants and he feels that we deserve. So I'm going to go ahead and let him talk from
gathering a lot of data, I imagine, behind the scenes. So how do you balance those two? What people are asking for versus what you're seeing?
The more we communicate with our audience, the more we talk with them, the more we listen, and the more we show them, compare with the data. And I think for us, again, transparency being a big thing, I want to share that data, not just say, hey, the data shows that we think this is the right choice, so that's why we made that choice. I'd rather say, hey, look, here's the data. This is what we're working with. This is what we've found. I know there's some opinions that maybe contradict this, but we have this data. Let's talk about it. I think there's that language that we have to build with our audience. It's something we want to continue to do for 8 or more years from now. We want to keep having that same kind of dialogue with our audience.
When you look at Xdefiant,
And there you go. So, very important. I promise you, this is amazing from the executive producer himself to say this. And of course, we have to hope that once the game releases, he'll still stay active and still be consistent. He explained that they have over a year of content already kind of laid out and prepared for the most part. So this is huge. The game's getting support. They're ahead of the game. They have things lined up and ready to go. It's super cool, and I'm very excited about it. You're gonna see me breaking some things down for you guys, some guides, some tips, some tricks. And I actually do have a shooter channel that I should focus on, but I'm probably not gonna keep it on this channel because I'm partnered over here and I want to keep that moving. So I appreciate y'all. But just to kind of touch on a couple things with this game, even though this isn't about introducing you to the game, I will say that you're talking about game that has the Call of Duty original feel to it. The movement is very special. The gunplay is fluid. You'd have a really great time if you're looking for a first person shooter. And I've been playing this for 3 years on like the alpha tests, tech tests, play tests, and the betas and all of that good stuff on and off. Finally gonna actually just play the game. I cannot wait. And it feels like I've been waiting forever for it. So come and catch me in there. I do have some more tips and tricks, should be popping up on the screen right now. Guys, enjoy that. See you there.